How are our viewers today? I always wish you to be well and happy. Today we will talk about a strange and true story, which is the story of the ghost of the Egyptian artist Omar Khurshid. But who is the artist Omar Khurshid? What is the story of the ghost of the artist Omar Khurshid as well? The artist Omar Khurshid died in 1981 in a terrible car accident at the end of Al Haram Street, next to Mina House and in front of Cristo Restaurant, after finishing his work in one of the major hotels, where he was accompanied by his Lebanese wife, Dina, and the actress Maria Camo. There were rumors that this accident was planned and that his death it wasn't normal. But before we continue the rest of the story, I ask our viewers who have not subscribed to the channel yet to subscribe and like the video, and do not forget to comment on the video. We must first know who the artist Omar Khurshid is. Omar Khurshid was born on April 9, 1945, to an ancient artistic family, and he is the most famous guitarist in Egypt. He is also a producer of artistic works, a composer, an actor, and a composer for great artists such as the artist Kulthum and the great artist and singer Abdul Halim Hafez. He composed a lot of visual music for films. Omar has one sister, Jihan, and two sisters from his father's wife, who is not a mother, including the artist Sherihan. He also has four male brothers from his other father's wife, and one brother who died years ago in a car accident. Some people believe that Itemat Khurshid was Omar's mother, but the truth is that she was his father's wife, and he only lived with her for a very short period of his childhood, after which he moved to live with his mother. Omar Khurshid married several times, the first of which was to Amina El Sobki in 1971, who appeared with him on the Cairo cinema program, presented by Nahid Gaber. But the marriage did not last more than a year and ended in separation in 1972. Then, in the same year, he married actress Mervat Ayman. But this marriage also did not last long, and the divorce occurred in 1973, followed by his marriage to a Lebanese businesswoman named Dina in 1977, and their marriage continued until his death. His father, Omar Khurshid, is a professor of cinematography, and he had many relationships with movie stars, prominent figures in the artistic community, writers, intellectuals, and music pioneers. As for his mother, Watif Hashem, she was a woman in society, and it was said that she was very beautiful. She separated from his father and Omar at a young age. This was brief information about the artist Omar Khurshid for viewers who do not know any information about him. One of the journalists tells the story of Omar Khurshid that one day he was in his office room and the light went out, and Omar Khurshid went at that time to get candles to light the candles so that he could complete his work. But suddenly the candles went out, and he felt that there was strong air, and he extinguished them. When he tried to light the candles again, the candles went out again. When he tried to light the candles a third time, they also went out a third time. At that time, Omar Khurshid spoke sarcastically, saying to himself, "Is there anyone here in the office?" Omar was surprised that there was a voice answering him, saying, "Do not be afraid. Oh, Omar, I am a friend." At that moment, Omar jumped off the desk, ran to the office door, and left the library, heading to his home. He was terrified and said inside his mind that what he heard was definitely an illusion. The next day, Omar went to an office to complete his work, and when he entered the office, he found something strange. He found that the candles that he had lit were all lit, and that the candles were still in their original condition, without melting or diminishing, although it is normal for the candles to melt within an hour. At that time, Omar Khurshid tried to extinguish the candles, but the candles did not extinguish in any way, and this is the opposite of what happened to him yesterday. Yesterday he tried to light candles, but the candles went out every time he tried to light them. But Omar Khurshid brought a piece of wood and tried to extinguish the candles with it, but the candles continued to burn and the wood burned. Omar Khurshid had no choice but to read the book of the Noble Qur'an and in his office, so that the strange creature in the library would leave, and he began to read until he found all the candles extinguished at once. And he felt a hand pressing his shoulder forcefully until he stopped reading the Qur'an. But Omar was not afraid and continued reading until he found the candles extinguished, and he felt that the hand pressing on his shoulder began to gradually weaken until it disappeared completely. One of the directors says that he was going to Omar Khurshid's office to ask him to make a song for children and another work, which is a fictitious story about the theft of the ancient tomb of King Tutankhamun, and for him to play the role of the hero of the film. This will be a new idea for him, as his fans are accustomed to that. He is seen only as a guitarist in most of his films. But the director was surprised on the second day that Omar Khurshid called him and asked him not to complete what had been agreed upon regarding the movie King Tutankhamun, and that he wanted to participate in acting in a horror movie whose events were similar to the foreign movie Revenge of Souls. The director was amazed at Omar Khurshid's sudden change of mind, asking him why this change. Omar Khurshid replied to him that he wanted to change the style of his films, and that the audience loves change, and the audience also loves mystery and suspense films, and that this type of film will achieve huge revenues, and that he wants to dedicate his office to this type of film. After 2 weeks, the director went to Omar Khurshid's office with the script for the new story, and when he showed it to Omar Khurshid, signs of joy and enthusiasm appeared on his face. 2 weeks later, the director went to Omar Khurshid's office with the script for the new story, and when he showed it to Omar Khurshid, signs of joy and enthusiasm appeared on his face. Omar Khurshid began explaining to the director his vision for the film's visual music and his proposal for the 2 actors participating with him in acting in this cinematic work and distributing the roles to them. Then Omar Khurshid said to the director, "Do you know the reason for my request for the story of this type of film? It is not just to produce thriller films, but there is another hidden reason." Omar Khurshid said to the director that because he trusts him, he will reveal to him this dangerous secret that prompted this sudden change, provided that he promises him not to tell it. This secret is as long as Omar Khurshid is still alive, and Omar Khurshid told everything that happened to him. Starting with the candles that did not want to be extinguished at night, and the ghost who became a friend of Omar Khurshid, and who comes and appears in the library from time to time. Omar Khurshid said that this ghost came to his office during the visit of one of the ambassadors from the Arab countries, and when he heard the voice of the ghost, he fainted. At that time, Omar Khurshid tried to convince the ambassador that this was the voice of the radio, but the Arab ambassador was not convinced, especially after he saw Omar Khurshid talking to a person in front of him who only had a voice and could not see him with his own eyes. Then the director asked Omar Khurshid about the benefit of having this ghost with you, and that it is best to get rid of him, but Omar Khurshid replied, saying that this ghost tells him dangerous information that no one can access, and that he tried to get rid of him more than once. But he did not succeed in doing so. The director asked Omar Khurshid, saying, "Tell me what information the ghost told you during your conversation with each other." Omar replied, saying that the ghost told him that he was 1,700 years old. The director replied, saying, "This is some of the known information about ghosts." Then Omar Khurshid said to the director, "This ghost once told me a sentence whose meaning I cannot yet understand, and this sentence is your face is bent over the shards of glass. When I asked the ghost about the explanation of these words, he replied, "It is a red volcano sparkling above dark black mountains." The director said at that time that none of them could understand these words at that time. But what happened after that was that Omar Khurshid died in a car accident, and glass shards entered his neck and blood exploded from his neck, as if it were a red volcano. The director also said that he was sitting with Omar Khurshid the day before his death, and Omar Khurshid began to greet him about how much he loved his family and his sisters, Yihan and Sherihan, and he considered the actress Sherihan the fruit of the family. The conversation with him lasted until midnight, and suddenly the light flooded him, and Omar Khurshid laughed in response. This moment, the ghost has arrived, and the director says that Omar Khurshid lit a candle and placed it on his desk, and then this director felt that there was someone sitting next to him, but he only heard the sound of his breathing and did not see him. But he fainted and did not wake up until the conversation ended. Between Omar Khurshid and his friend, the ghost, and then the blackout ended and the office was lit again. Then his friend, the director, told him that he would leave because he knew that Omar Khurshid would travel the next day to perform at a concert tomorrow in Australia. When Omar Khurshid returned from Australia to Egypt, he died in a car accident, and the glass entered his neck, and blood exploded from his neck like a red volcano on very black stones. His family members were shocked and deeply saddened by his death, especially his younger sister, Sherihan, who was completely devastated when she learned the news of his death. His friend, the director, also mentioned that in his last days before his death, his office had many copies of the Quran, and he used to pray a lot and read the Quran, and his friend believed that he was doing this because he felt his end was approaching. But he learned with time that the reason for that was the ghost that was attending. By Omar Khurshid. Omar Khurshid died, and the secret of his ghost friend was buried with him. This is where the story of Omar Khurshid ends. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel, press the like button, and leave a comment below the story.